Welcome to Deep Thought. Don't simply be contrary. You know what I find? You ever be around those people? I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say, what you doing, what's happening. No matter how correct whatever's happening is, they're going to be contrary. In fact, some of the worst people being contrary are those who have no idea about what they're even talking about. But they're going to be contrary. They just want to go against everybody else. You know what? That's the biggest waste of time ever. Now, if you're being contrary to something and it's an area you have expertise in, you have some real knowledge in, and you recognize what's being said is incorrect based on your actual knowledge, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just correcting the people based on your actual experience, your actual knowledge. You know, like if you're trying to tell an attorney something in their field, like you'll get that too. You get some people who will try to contradict an attorney in their field or a doctor in their field, but they just doing it just to do it. And some people revel in that. Oh, I'm gonna be a contrarian and stuff. What good is that? What good is that? It's a waste of energy. You're not learning anything. You're bucking to just buck. And see, it could be a problem sometimes. Like, okay, say it's on, let's use a YouTube example. Because you get a lot of people, somebody's presenting something, and then someone else will come in, oh no, that's not it. And sometimes they'll sound official, but then if you actually challenge them, they don't really know anything. But see, they might be taken away from the actual information. It could be good. See, that's one of the problems. And some people do that on purpose. Some people want to be contrarian like that. Some people want to disrupt. They feel like and deep down what it is their lives are disruptive. You know, they not at peace in their lives, so they want to spread that to everyone else. But it could harm somebody. What if the information being presented is beneficial? It could be health, it could be wealth, it could be whatever, you know? Because then one thing I noticed with the contrarians, they'll try to contradict it, but then they're not coming from any place. They'll just say, oh no, that's not the case. Okay, based on what? Based on what? You know? And then sometimes some people might be contrary because simply they don't like who's presenting the information. They got a personal issue. And I'm just like, no. Because I ain't gonna lie, I'll put it on myself. Now I don't be contrarian, but it can be hard to accept some information from someone that you don't particularly care for. One of the ways I personally combat that is I just search for truth. Like my thing, and I've said this publicly before, I'll give credit where it's due. Even like there's been many a commenter who I wouldn't care for, well, we wouldn't hang out, be buddy. They'll say something, I'll be like, you know, I'm gonna give them that one. I just search for truth. Because one thing, and I'll just say this, if you ever have that contrary bug in you, search for the truth. Separate the information from the person. You might not like the person, you don't have to deal with them, you don't have to hang out with them, but shoot, a broke clock is right twice a day. And the analogy is very simple. They could still have something good. You separate the information. In fact, if you take it a step further, when anyone then this is what I'll do. When anyone gives any information on something, and you know, even though it's coming from a particular source, I'll write it down, file it away mentally, then I look it up. It was like, oh, okay, they're right. Because like it or not, someone that you might have a personal issue with, they can still be right on something. Like I said, you don't have to hang out with them. There's plenty of people. Look, in the business world, plenty of business people would not hang out privately with each other. And let's be real, every day we do business with people we probably wouldn't, or interact with people we probably wouldn't want living next door to us, or we sure as hell wouldn't tell them where we live. But they have some good information. But see, one of the things I would say when you being contrary, just being contrary to be contrary, you might be hurting yourself. The information might be helpful to you, you know? The information might be helpful for you. You can take it. You can take that same information. Like I said, you don't have to hang out with the person, but they telling you something. It's like, okay. And just give them that credit. But you got some people like that. And I'm going to tell you what, from what I've seen, it's usually people who don't have anything going on for themselves. They're jealous. They don't have the talent. They don't have the knowledge, anything. So even then, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Because you got to say, well, where you coming from? You know, like, they have to say it. And it's like, okay, no deflection. You know, this is not helpful. Now, if you're in an open conversation and everybody's expressing their thoughts on something, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But even then, whatever you being expressing still needs to come from a place of knowledge. Don't just say something just to say it, you know? Don't just say something. Where are you coming from with that? You know, you want to be helpful. Because it really does, like I said, it don't hurt. One of the things, ultimately, being contrary doesn't hurt the other person. That's very important. That's very important to understand. Because you're really hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because sometimes people are contrary. They'll be contrary to information that could be of a benefit. And you're so busy being contrary, you're not sitting back listening and thinking, you know what? This actually is some good stuff. This could help me with what I'm doing, with where I'm going. You know? And then I would finally say this. Ask yourself why you're being contrary. Because you got some people, and it gets real deep. They could even have it a part of their personality or a part of, I would say, counterfeit persona, where they just going to be rebellious just to be rebellious. Now, if you're being rebellious and it's a righteous reason, nothing wrong with that. You need to be. You're standing up for something right. But if you're doing it just to do it, ask yourself something. You really self-sabotaging yourself. And people with that type of personality, temperament, they actually self-sabotage their own blessings. Because they're so busy being contrary, they're blocking the information. Because while they're contrary to it, they're also blocking it. And it can actually help them. Pay attention to contrarian people. Pay attention to them. When they just always contrary. And look at their lives. Especially you know in person. You probably see it yourself. They self-sabotaging their own things. And it'd be more than just contrary. That's, you know what, that's a whole other conversation. It's more than just being contrary. But it's self-sabotaging. In fact, I'm going to talk about that next week. Oh, you know what? I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. I'm not even going to wait. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. So, anyway. I was going to talk about something else. I had it written down and everything. But I say, you know what? Let me just go with that flow. All right? I'm going to talk about self-sabotaging behavior. I might have talked about it before, but, you know. I always get new people in here. We'll talk about it again. So, anyway. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.